Hello and welcome to Couple of Instigators. And today, tonight, whenever we're recording in the quarantine, if we lost track of time, but it's Nell Russ.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up, Nell? Listen, me and Nell started doing comedy together. Pretty much the class was our first time, right now?
Yeah, about 2 years ago at the middle of May.
Yeah, so we're approaching our 2-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, but you know, the weird thing is I don't know like the date of my anniversary, but I'm going to tell you what, last year, the picture of me up on Bug Jar, I had posted to Facebook and said, my first time ever doing stand-up, and somebody took a picture of me on the stage, right?
Okay.
So I count on those stupid Facebook memories so that I know when the anniversary date was. But it was definitely May, wasn't it?
Yeah. When we started at the little graduation show was like early June.
Okay, so I did get up on stage before the graduation class thing. So and it was at the Bug Jar, which is one of our local bars here that does the Comedy Cocoon on Sunday nights. And that was my very first time. And so me and you met in the class. And like your style I love your style, you know? Yeah. What made you decide to do comedy?
Well, honestly, it was, it was way back in 2010, actually. Just, I've always loved, just entertaining my friends, making them laugh all the time. And just one of them goes, you should be a stand-up comedian. And at the time, I just kind of wrote him off. I was like, probably not. But then 7 years later, I just thought to myself, hey, maybe I should actually do this. And so then I just jumped on, a few mics, toward the end of the year. My very first one was actually in August. And at the time, this isn't my the church I go to. My mom went to this church at a time, and they had like a little talent thing, and so I just kind of winged it, jumped on stage, and so it was obviously pretty cringy, but
well, you did improv right now.
Yeah, I did, so that helped with stage presence.
Yeah, you definitely started with improv, didn't you? Did you do a lot of improv in college?
Yeah, I did it for all 4 years.
All 4 years, right? What degree did you graduate with?
That's kind of funny. I graduated with a bachelor's of history, but I didn't know how to use it, so now I just have a degree for nothing.
Yeah, I know. Well, you had a good time for 4 years at least.
I did. It was fun, and so I can't say it was unworth it. Yeah.
Right. It's life experience.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. But so you are autistic.
Yes.
And a lot of your material is, some of your favorite stuff is your vaccination jokes. How do I describe your comedy is smart. You're a very smart writer. And that's not always the best for people that are slow like me. So when I'm watching you, it like takes me a minute sometimes to get your jokes because they are so smart. And there's so many comedians that are like that I really, because of my severe attention deficit, my ability to pay attention is really bad. But going to open mic, I still like during your sets, I'm laughing and I'm still like even getting stuff now. We're like, oh my God, because it takes me, But how old were you? Do you remember being diagnosed?
Yeah, I was 16. Actually, I was on the bowling team at high school, and so this other one on the team, she was quite decently like affected and stuff. And so one time she just says to me, I've noticed some of your mannerisms, and do you have Asperger's? Because I have it too. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I researched it, and I was like, this makes a lot of sense with the stuff, I have like problems with. And so
right.
I actually got an official diagnosis from Strong, and just ever since then, what you want to do is you just want to build on your strengths, and that can kind of diminish your weaknesses in a lot of things.
Yeah. So definitely I noticed that, being comedians, like we all seem to be like anxious.
Yeah, definitely.
And I was saying, like, a lot of comedians, there's a lot of like underlying mental illness, whether it's depression, anxiety,
All
all
of
of,
us.
thank you. Right.
Everyone.
And I hate to like stereotype, but stereotypes are based on reality. Let's
They
face
are.
it,
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
but yeah. So I remember like after like getting to know a lot of the comics and really listening to a lot of podcasts and things with like famous comedians who have made it,
Yeah.
and how bizarrely broken out everybody is, even like and I mean it. And to me, what's the most fascinating is like the nerve people get to go on stage. Like, if you think about it, though, you kind of have to be a little crazy, right? To like get up there by yourself and think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, talking at people instead of with them, because sometimes talking at is a little easier sometimes. Like, hey, I'm the center of attention. Pay attention to me.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. But so how do you, when you're on the stage, do you still ever feel like really nervous?
Only slightly. What I mostly feel is more nervous excitement. And so it's not the kind of shaky nervous that some comics get. It's the kind of, all right, I'm going to do this. And so, I'm always excited to hop on stage and, show off what I have. And even if it doesn't go great, I can always just try another joke. It's always been a little bit easier for me than it seems for some to just be able, like, oh, okay, this isn't working so well, I can, redeem it with something else. Like,
yeah.
After a while, it does get easier, yeah.
But one of the things that I do admire about you, after getting to know you, is like, I'll say, hey, how did that show go? And the thing I love about you is you are able to say, I ate shit and I saw it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I feel like a lot of comics, some of them, when they do really bad, they don't see it.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get better if you don't see where you failed.
Or either they might see it, but it's very difficult for them to swallow it and accept the criticism that, they might need to know, hey, I need to fix this part,
Yeah, but I'm like, I tell you, sometimes I've gone to some open mics and like, somebody will get up there and they'll do 5 minutes and nobody laughed. Okay. Like nada. And then after the show, they're like, oh yeah, I killed it. I'm like, what? But you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. And
they hallucinated laughter.
Yeah.
They did.
Or another famous thing they just don't get me.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like, you are the most generic person I've ever met. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
When generic people get on stage.
But honestly, I think that, accepting that, seeing when you bomb, it makes you so much better.
It really does.
And I love that. Like, you'll be like, I killed it. I did great. And then I'll be like, hey, how was your show? You're like, oh man, it wasn't great. But that's what I love is like, we have to admit that. We have to see it and we have to see what we do wrong.
And we also, in addition, we can't let a few bombs crush our spirits completely. And I just feel like people get so defeated by it sometimes. And it's like, well, did you think it was always going to go well? Like, you should have anticipated that there were going to be a few failures in the way.
Absolutely. And, that's the same as because, I listen to a lot of comedians podcasts, and I'm going to tell you one of the ones that I really like that you will probably really enjoy is, I don't know if you've ever listened to Jessica Kirson's podcast.
Not her podcast, but I have seen a bit of her stand-up.
Right, her stand-up. Okay. But her podcast, I think you will enjoy it if you want to, go through, a lot of her episodes. She really gets like big name comics, and does one-on-ones. But it's more like she really dives deep into their psyche, their background, and you learn. I think I just learn a lot, from
Definitely.
listening to her podcast. And she is one of my favorites, Jessica, I have to say. We just have to plug along. And for me, doing comedy is, I'm not planning on like trying to get famous or doing anything like that. I'm just looking to get on stage, have a good time, learn what I can learn. And if I'm lucky enough, get to host or open for somebody I admire. That's where I'm at. But I'm way too old to be going to this New York City and trying to do that grind, man.
I don't know about that. People could still do pretty crazy stuff and whatever they're into, even when they're old. Like, I heard of this 92-year-old guy once. He's climbed Mount Marcy like 30 times, and the last I read, he was gearing up for like a 50th one, and it's God damn. So,
no,
it's still
the only
no matter what age, yeah.
Now the only Marcy I'm climbing is in the bedroom.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I'm way too old to be climbing up any mountains now. Yeah, but you know what I mean? You obviously now, that grind, being in those bars till 1 midnight, doing doing open mics, working on your material in front of a bunch of people that are just kind of looking at you. Yeah. It's hard. And it just seems like way too much for me. But do you have any plans to leave?
Leave where?
Rochester to try
No. Family's here. I know a lot of people shit on this town, but no, I still love it. I can't. No, I can't. I like it so much.
No, like to go down to move to the city and try it down there. No, none of that.
No, just I'd like to visit, New York City and try some of those mics, but living there I could just never do.
Yeah. Yeah, but so many comics, they go down there and they try to give it a shot. And there's a few that have been okay. They're still working down there. Madeline Smith is one of them. And then there's a lot that end up coming back, because it's tough. How long could you go?
Yeah, I honestly don't believe that for any aspiring comic, honestly, that moving to New York is going to be the best idea. Because especially since they're literally clawing to get its spots at open mics and just, it's crazy out there. And at that point, it's not fun anymore. It doesn't seem. If you're like 51st at a mic list, it's like if you have to sign up at 1 PM, it's like, okay. This is getting a little out of hand.
Yeah, and I listen to, like I say, I listen to a lot of comedians, and I love to hear how they start.
Yeah.
Like when they went from, doing local bars to getting on the stage at the Comedy Cellar. What's that process?
Yeah.
And, or even, obviously headlining, Yeah. And then, there was a few, like another one said a comedian was at open mic and she happened to just get lucky. And it was only like the first couple months she was hitting mics in the city. No. And one of the producers from MTV saw her. And that's how she ended up getting a show on MTV. Literally. So it's a lot of, you have to be talented, but it's a lot of luck.
Yeah, you just, so that's a big reason to go to everything you can because you don't know who might be there.
Yeah.
Possibly seeing you, yeah.
Yeah. So, so you're not like, I know a lot of the Rochester, comedians that I talk to, like, I know a couple that are trying to move to Washington. I know DC. I know a couple that are like, have talked about Chicago, is another great place